Welcome back to our channel. It is a fabulous day to dive deep into the soapy drama that is currently destroying the very fabric of the Los Angeles fashion world as we watch families tear each other apart over silk and secrets. The ongoing fashion wars in LA are serving up the most delicious dirt we have seen in years because we are looking at a situation where thirsty Brooke Logan is absolutely losing her mind over breakout star Hope Logan and the ultimate usurper Katie Logan, who has somehow managed to pull off the heist of the century, right? Under everyone's noses in a way that feels so calculated and yet so incredibly messy at the exact same time. It is truly staggering to witness this level of corporate espionage happening within a single bloodline where sisters and daughters are actively plotting the financial ruin of their own relatives just to prove a point about who really runs the fashion industry in this town. Brooke is completely unglued and pacing the floors of Forrester Creations like a caged animal who just realized the door has been locked from the outside. She cannot process the reality of her own flesh and blood stabbing her in the back for a chance to shine under the Spencer umbrella. You look at Electra Forrester and you see a young woman who is just vibrating with this intense righteous fury because Will Spencer completely kept her in the dark about everything that was going down with Hope and Deke Sharp. And he did not even have the decency to warn her about Shauna Fulton, bringing her jewelry line to Logan, or the fact that the Hope for the Future diamond was being used as a weapon against her own family on a global stage. Electra actually likes the idea of Will working with his family because it gives him a sense of purpose and keeps him grounded away from the Forrester drama. But she is not going to just sit back and take this kind of deception lying down while he plays both sides of the fence like some kind of corporate double agent trying to appease his father and his girlfriend simultaneously. She could absolutely rebel against him in the most spectacular fashion imaginable. She might just burn their entire relationship to the ground and dance in the ashes while the Spencer empire watches her walk away. She thinks he betrayed her. And honestly, who can blame her when you consider the sheer volume of secrets Will was carrying around while smiling to her face and pretending everything was completely fine between the Forresters and the Spencers, when in reality, they were gearing up for a corporate bloodbath that would leave absolutely no survivors in its wake. Electra is reminding me so much of Steffi these days with this dictatorial demand for total obedience and loyalty, which means Will is standing on the edge of a cliff right now with his toes hanging over the abyss, just waiting for the wind to blow him over. One wrong move, and she is going to push him right over without a second thought because she has zero tolerance for liars in her inner circle anymore. She will dump him again and not even look back to see where he landed or how much it hurt him. RJ is just waiting in the wings to catch her and offer her a shoulder to cry on, which will only make the cousin rivalry explode into a million little pieces. Brooke is drowning in this toxic cocktail of betrayal and rage because she genuinely cannot fathom how Hope could just join Logan and take her precious Hope for the Future collection right out of the building without so much as a warning. Whisper to her own mother, who fought tooth and nail to get that line reinstated in the first place when Steffi wanted to bury it forever. It was bad enough when Brooke thought Deke Sharp was the sole designer for Katie's new line, and she went out of her way to insult him and belittle his talent before running off to snitch to Ridge and Steffi Forrester like a schoolyard tattletale trying to score points with the popular kids. She was so smug when she did it and so completely confident that she was on the right side of history defending the Forrester legacy against the evil Spencer machine. So arrogant and blind to the truth that was staring her right in the face the entire time. Now she knows the actual truth, which is that Hope is the mastermind working side by side with Deke, and learning that little tidbit almost made Brooke have a full blown conniption right there in the middle of the Forrester Creations executive office with everyone watching her world crumble into tiny little pieces of shattered glass. You can just picture the veins popping out of Brooke's forehead as she realizes her own daughter played her for an absolute fool while she was busy defending her to Steffi and Ridge, who were probably laughing behind her back the whole time, knowing that the Logans were turning on each other like a pack of starving wolves. Brooke is losing her grip on reality and lashing out at everything that moves because she has no control over the narrative anymore, and that terrifies her more than anything else in the world. She is spiraling into a dark place where logic does not exist and only vengeance makes sense. We predict that Brooke is going to march right up to Hope and order her to stop working for Katie immediately and demand that she come crawling back to Forrester Creations to beg for her old job back, as if Hope is some grounded teenager who stayed out past curfew and needs to be punished by having her car keys taken away for a month. She completely forgets that Hope is a grown up woman who is fully allowed to make her own choices and chart her own career path without needing mommy's permission slip to design some dresses and build a brand that actually respects her creative vision instead of treating her like a secondary afterthought. We expect the fireworks to come early to LA because Hope is not going to just bow down and take orders anymore from a mother who doesn't even listen to her or validate her feelings. She has tasted freedom and validation and the thrill of independence. She likes it way too much to give it up just to make Brooke comfortable again. Ridge is going to insert himself into this mess because he cannot stand to see Brooke humiliated, but also because his massive ego is bruised by the Logan triumph. And we won't be surprised in the slightest if Ridge orders Brooke to evict Hope and Liam from the property immediately, just to prove a point about loyalty and consequences in this cutthroat business. Ridge has never truly respected Hope, and we all remember when he called Hope a slut in the past during one of his many temper tantrums. So there is absolutely no love lost there between the stepdad and the stepdaughter, who have always just barely tolerated each other for Brooke's sake. And now the gloves are completely off. Ridge is done playing nice and pretending they are one big, happy, blended family when they are actually a ticking time bomb of resentment and unresolved trauma. He wants them gone today, and he does not care where they end up as long as they are off his lawn. How is Brooke going to react if Ridge gives her a brutal ultimatum to choose him or Hope? Because that is exactly where this toxic train is heading. And Brooke has a terrible track record of picking her husbands over her children when the chips are down and the pressure is on to maintain her romantic fairy tale. Brooke's entire identity is wrapped up in being Ridge's Logan. So if he threatens to walk out the door, unless she kicks Hope to the curb, you know she is going to throw Hope's bags on the lawn while crying no signature. Single tears and playing the victim of a situation she entirely created herself through her own suffocating need for control. It is pathetic to watch her cave to him every single time he raises his voice or threatens to withhold his affection. It is inevitable that she will betray her daughter to keep her man, because that is the defining pattern of her entire existence. Let's not forget that she-devil Shauna Fulton is back in town, and she will be more than ready to comfort Ridge if it comes to a massive fracture between him and Brooke over this whole eviction drama and the stress of the competing fashion houses tearing their lives apart piece by piece. Shauna has always had this undeniable sizzling chemistry with Ridge, and she knows exactly how to stroke his ego when Brooke is too busy shrieking about her sisters and her daughters to pay attention to his needs or make him feel like the undisputed king of the world that he believes he is. Shauna is opportunistic and cunning, and she is watching them crumble from the sidelines with a smile on her face, just waiting for the perfect moment to strike. She will swoop in the second Ridge storms out of that house looking for a sympathetic ear and a stiff drink and a woman who doesn't come with a mountain of Logan baggage. The financial implications of this fashion war are staggering because Hope and Deke seem poised for massive success over at Logan, and that could be a huge devastating blow to Forrester Creations financially, right? When they are most vulnerable and overextended on their current projects that nobody even asked for. Carter Walton specifically said that Eric's Haughty Couture collection is the most expensive line FC has ever done, which means they have poured an obscene amount of capital into a project that might not even resonate with the modern buyer anymore, because the world has moved on from that kind of excessive opulence and shifted toward relatable luxury. They are bleeding money into a sinking ship that is being steered by a man who refuses to look at the iceberg right in front of him. They are risking everything on Eric's fragile ego, and it is going to cost them dearly. The fashionistas went absolutely wild for Hope and Deke's urban chic designs at the Logan preview, and that could spell serious trouble for Eric's Chi Chi couture line because the market is clearly craving something fresh and young and vibrant rather than the same old stuffy gowns. Forrester's been churning out for decades without any real innovation or risk taking. The stage may be completely set for Eric's collection to severely undersell after Forrester Creations literally bet the house on it. And if that happens, the financial ruin could tear the Forrester family apart faster than any scandal ever could, because money and prestige are the only things keeping them glued together in the first place. They are terrified of becoming irrelevant in an industry they used to dominate with their eyes closed. They should be very afraid because the Logan train is coming full speed ahead and it has no brakes. Let's circle back to Hope and Liam's living situation, because if they are kicked out of mom's property, they are not just going to pitch a tent on the beach. They are going to seek refuge with the very people who are bankrolling this entire rebellion and turning their lives upside down for the sake of a fashion line. They could move in with Beatty, which would be Bill and Katie, and that would just be further twisting the knife into Bridge, because nothing would infuriate Ridge and Brooke more than seeing Hope and Liam playing happy family with their ultimate corporate rivals in that giant sprawling mansion. It is the ultimate insult to Brooke's maternal authority and a complete rejection of everything she stands for. It is a brilliant strategic move by Bill to keep his enemies close and his family closer while watching the Forresters self-destruct from a safe distance. Do you think that Hope and Liam and Beth move into the Spencer mansion? Because if so, it is just another spectacular way that Katie can stick it to Icky Brooke, who has spent her entire life acting like she is the supreme Logan sister who dictates everyone else's happiness and hands out crumbs of approval when she feels like it. Katie taking in Brooke's discarded daughter is such a power move, and it proves that Katie is finally stepping out of the shadows and claiming her space as the true matriarch of this new fashion empire, while Brooke is left screaming into the void with nothing to show for her meddling but a fractured family and a failing business. Katie is thriving in this chaos and wearing it like a crown. Brooke is drowning in her own bitterness and dragging everyone else down with her. The collateral damage is spreading to the older generation rapidly because Eric and Donna are about to be rocked to their very core when Eric finds out that Donna knew all about HFTF moving to Logan and kept her mouth shut while he was stressing over the competition and pouring his heart and soul into his couture line. This could be a major test of their relationship because Eric already feels so vulnerable and betrayed by everyone around him. And to find out that his own wife was in on the secret is going to shatter whatever fragile trust they have. Managed to rebuild after all their past mistakes and infidelities. Donna is in so much trouble right now, and she has absolutely nowhere to hide from the fallout. She is trapped in a web of lies that she helps spin. Donna promised to keep Hope's secret from Brooke, who will absolutely hit the roof when she finds out that her own sister was conspiring against her with her other sister and her daughter, leaving Brooke as the odd man out in her own family dynamic, which is her absolute worst nightmare come to life. Brooke demands absolute loyalty from Donna and expects her to be this obedient little lapdog who reports back every piece of gossip, but Donna actually tried to protect Hope this time, and it is going to blow up in her face spectacularly when the truth comes crashing down on all of them in a wave of tears and recriminations. Brooke will be merciless in her retaliation because she views this as high treason. She will cut Donna off completely and ice her out of the family forever. Donna also kept it secret when Eric was working at Logan recently. So she has this track record of lying by omission and playing both sides of the fence, which makes her look incredibly shady, even when she is just trying to keep the peace between the people she loves most in the world who refuse to get along. We don't see any possible way in which Donna wins with her latest deception because she is caught in a crossfire where every single person is holding a loaded gun and pointing it directly at her head, demanding that she choose a side before the bullets start flying and the bodies hit the floor. She is going to lose everything she has built with Eric and her sisters. She is the tragic casualty of this ridiculous war that she never even wanted to fight in. We predict that Brooke disowns her entirely and refuses to ever speak to her again because Brooke's capacity for forgiveness is completely non existent when she feels like her authority has been challenged by the people she considers beneath her in the family hierarchy. And Donna has always been the weakest link in Brooke's eyes. Brooke will banish Donna from her life and paint herself as the ultimate victim of a massive family conspiracy while completely ignoring the fact that her own suffocating behavior is what drove everyone to lie to her in the first place. Because they were terrified of her wrath and her endless judgment. Brooke is toxic to her core and she refuses to see it. She pushes everyone away who tries to love her and then cries when she is left all alone in a big empty house. Eric goes into another deep, dark funk because he is losing his grip on his company and his family and his wife all at the exact same time. And at his age, that kind of stress is not just emotionally devastating, it is physically dangerous to his heart and his overall well being. And nobody seems to care about the toll this is taking on him. Eric wanted to go out on top with this haughty couture line, but instead he is watching his legacy be dismantled by his former daughter-in-law and his ex-wife's sister while his current wife lies to his face. And it is just a profoundly sad end to a glorious career that spanned decades of fashion history and defined an era. He is a broken man sitting in an empty office staring at sketches that nobody wants to buy. The empire is falling down around him and he is powerless to stop it. What do you think of all the possible upcoming plots, B and B fans? Because we are looking at a summer of absolute destruction, and I, for one, cannot look away from the wreckage as these characters tear each other limb from limb over fashion. Lines and bruised egos that refuse to heal. The sheer audacity of Katie and Hope teaming up to take down Forrester Creations is the kind of soapy goodness that keeps us glued to our screens every single afternoon, wondering who is going to stab who in the back next and who is going to end up sleeping with the enemy just to get ahead in the game. It is glorious and messy and utterly human in its depiction of greed and ambition. We will be watching every single second of it unfold and dissecting every dirty look and stolen design